up, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Goal Line Dynasty. We are doing something we haven't had the chance to do in quite some time, and we are doing a subscriber submissions team review by our Discord user and frequent commenter, Pope. So, Pope, how's it going, buddy? Really looking forward to digging into this field, digging into this team. I said field because I'm looking at your team, and the first guy is Justin Fields. So, spoiler alert. Yeah, Justin Fields is in there. But before we review the team, Tyler, how we doing, buddy?
I'm good, dude. I like the team a lot. I think there's a lot you can do with it. So we're gonna have a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of different avenues to go down. I also didn't point out your haircut last time, but I do love it. So yeah, I hope everybody else does too.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I had some work calls today for the first time with my short hair, and everyone was like, "Dude, that's a look. That's a new look." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know if I love it or not, but you know what? I was doing my best you impression because I've seen you with this haircut many a time before." But Pope's team, let's get into it. So it's a 1 quarterback, 10 team dynasty PPR league. Look at his quarterback room first, right? We have Justin Fields and Tua Tagovailoa. Now, I personally don't worry too much about quarterbacks in a 1 quarterback league. Is it ideal to have a guy like Pat Mahomes or Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen? Of course it is. But is it a necessity? Not really. I think Justin Fields is perfectly fine as a QB1 in 1 QB leagues. Obviously, could do better, could do a hell of a lot worse. But this tandem in a 1 QB, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
No, I mean, Justin Fields does have that elite upside to, drop you the 35, 40 points in a week. I mean, we did see that. Like you said, I mean, quarterbacks they're kind of similar to the tight end position. Outside of the top, 4 or 5, it kind of gets like irrelevant. You might as well just stream. You could like take a Kirk Cousins or, one of those guys off of anybody's roster. It's probably a backup for most teams. So, yeah, I'm fine with Justin Fields, and Tua is also a very good backup. I mean, if you wanted to have the luxury, I mean, we'll get into it later, but he's got enough draft capital to, I don't know, maybe add to Justin Fields to go get the luxury of the Pat Mahomes or the Josh Allen, or even maybe Joe Burrow. At this point, maybe be creeping into that same tier. But yeah, Justin Fields and Tua is totally a fine quarterback room.
Well, I was going to bring up the draft picks as well, because there's one of two things you could do with these draft picks, right? You could probably flip Justin Fields. And so his draft picks are 101, 104, 108. Then he's got the 201 and 203. And this is a 10-man league, so that's 5 picks in the first 13. It's pretty damn good. I can see a lot of possibilities of combining either 8, 11, or 13, or a combination of the 3 of them with Justin Fields to tier up to a Joe Burrow or a Jalen Hurts or a Josh Allen kind of guy. So that's something I would be interested in doing potentially, just because, I like Justin Fields. I don't have a ton of confidence in him, but there's nothing wrong with him. The other thing you can do is once you get into your rookie draft, obviously in a 1 QB, you're not spending an early round pick on a quarterback, but at 201 or 203, especially in a 10-man league, chances are you're going to have your pick of quarterback at the 201 for this entire class. And if there's a quarterback that you feel strongly for, if Anthony Richardson ends up in the perfect spot, or if you really like CJ Stroud or Bryce Young going to Carolina at number 1, I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with taking one of those guys at 201 to have the room of Fields, Tua, and one of those guys as well. So a lot of possibilities here at the quarterback position. Moving on to the running back, though, this is an incredibly strong running back room, and you need that. I've learned that the smaller the league, the more important it is to have elite players at the running back, receiver, and tight end position. And Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, he's got pick 101, which means he's got Bijan Robinson on this team. Pope, if you're thinking of taking anyone else at the 101 to fit roster needs, don't even worry about it. Don't think twice. Take Bijan Robinson. Combining Bijan, who is the Dynasty RB1, with Breece Hall, who, depending on who you ask, is the Dynasty RB2, and Travis Etienne, who is at worst like a top 8, top 10 running back for a lot of people. Pretty damn good running back room, right? And you got depth to boot with Pacheco, White, and A.J. Dillon, and also Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, like you said, smaller the league, the less likely I am to punt the RB position. It's a 10-man start 9, so they're starting about 90 guys. So I mean, it's a fairly shallow league when you really put it in perspective. But I almost feel like it's too much riding on this running back room. I think this is where I'm looking to pretty much. I mean, I think Brees Hall, Travis Etienne already in itself is a totally fine running back room. You know how high I am on Brees Hall. He is my RB2 in Dynasty, even coming off of this injury. And Travis Etienne is probably not out. He's not outside my top 7 or probably 6, if that. So I think I'd honestly be looking to just sell. And weirdly enough to say, I'd be looking to sell whatever I can get the best price for any of 3 of these running backs. Just selling one of them. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be Bijan at this moment. But I mean, if you can get a decent haul for Mr. Brees Hall or ETN, I'd be fine with pairing one of these draft picks, even like the 108. I would probably pair the 108 and Brees Hall to go get maybe can you get Jamar Chase, CD Lamb, whatever. What's the best wide receiver you can get? Because I think at the 108, you're probably just going to be looking at another running back. So I'm fine pairing off one of them to try and pivot to a receiver to add to this receiving core.
Yeah, I like the idea of selling either Brees Hall or Travis Etienne. I'm probably not going to go out and sell Bijan right now. One, because the excitement of having him on your team is just way too much. But 2, I mean, outside of somebody just straight up giving you Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, you're probably not going to deal Bijan Robinson without a total haul anyway, right? So Brees Hall, combining him with the 108 or combining Travis Etienne with the 108, like you said, I think that is an easy way to go out and get a guy like CD Lamb or AJ Brown or maybe even Jamar Chase, who knows, depending on where these guys are valuing it. The other option that you have too is Pacheco is a sell high candidate. Rashad White is a sell high candidate. A.J. Dillon is always the sell candidate in my mind just because Aaron Jones is much better than the Dynasty community gives him credit for. But if you don't want to break it up, right, if you want to start that trio of running backs, if you want Brees Hall, ETN, and Bijan Robinson in your lineup every single week, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is an easy way to put up a shit ton of points every single week. You could sell Pacheco or Rashad White. I would 100% offload at least one of those 2 guys before the season starts and try to get yourself into at least a halfway decent wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 kind of guy. You might want to wait a little bit until the season starts with these guys. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to draft a running back. I don't think Kansas City is going to draft a running back. I think that these 2 are going to be quote unquote safe in their jobs, at least for the next month and a half going into training camp. So I don't know. Maybe you can sell them a little higher once we get closer, but I'm looking to sell one of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, like Pacheco plus what gets me Brandon Ayuk or I don't know. I was gonna say Jahan Dotson, but he's already on this team. But yeah, I mean, I'm obviously fine with selling either of those running backs especially with the trio that he's gonna have. I mean, the thing is, I'm almost like the haul. If you could add 108 onto Bijan, are you doing that for Justin Jefferson?
No,
because
no.
I think I might on this roster. Like knowing the plethora of like draft capital he has 2 firsts in 2024 too. So I mean, if you could tell me I could basically hold on to the 104, give Bijan that 108, take the shots at the running back or whoever I like at the 201, 203. Like I am liking the look of that lineup.
See, I think I as fun as it is to get Justin Jefferson, there's not a deal that exists where I'm giving up Bijan Robinson and an additional first round pick. I don't care if it's 110 in this case. I'm not giving up Bijan and a first round pick to get Justin Jefferson. And the reason why, I mean, Bijan Robinson, his floor is Josh Jacobs, right? Who has been a yearly minimum top 12 running back. His ceiling is the RB1 overall in dynasty formats. Like he's going to rival the big Saquon Barkley seasons. He's going to rival the big CMC seasons. Like, I don't want to get rid of that, especially with how volatile the running back position is right now. Like, I want to take that. Like I said, it's exciting to get Justin Jefferson, but I think you might be discounting his receiver room a little too much, in my opinion, right? So we haven't gotten into this receiver room yet, but it's Chris Godwin, Drake London, Jahan Dotson. He's also got Jamison Williams, Elijah Moore, Gabe Davis, Cortland Sutton, Hunter Renfrow. Then, of course, he's got the 104 and 108, which very well could be receivers as well. We know that Drake London could be this team's wide receiver 1, or Jamison Williams could be this team's wide receiver 1, depending on who breaks out first this year, right? Chris Godwin, solid option, but we know that Baker Mayfield is probably not the best thing for his fantasy upside this year. Jahan Dotson, same scenario. He's very good, but who's he got thrown to him this year? Sam Howell at best. So I can see why you're hesitant with this receiver room, but there's a lot of possibilities for this receiver room to hit its ceiling. You know, I wouldn't hit the panic button and send away significant draft cap and a solid running back for Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, the issue I have is that I don't know if it's going to score a lot of points this year when you have 3 hammer running backs. Like, I mean, I want to win now. I think as much as I love Drake London, like we don't know. I mean, they're not likely to have a quarterback change this year, like you were saying the other day. Jahan Dotson, as much as I like him, yeah, like you said, he's got Sam Howell at best right now. It's scary to look at for 2023 coming up, especially knowing that, you know, you're getting at best at the 104, the wide receiver 2. So I feel like it has to be added to in some capacity if we want to win this year. And I mean, it's a good team long term regardless. You know, like he could just go through and just not do anything to this team and just take every pick and he'll be totally fine. But I mean, if you can add a hammer wide receiver so that you're not, you know, scrambling with Pacheco and Rashad White this year at the flex spot, you know, or going into next season, like if you can shore up one of those spots, I think it's worth it to maybe overpay just a little bit when you have this abundance of capital. But like you said, I mean, it's got a lot of solid pieces in it that could hit its ceiling. It's just got a very low floor in my eyes for this year.
No, I feel that. I get that completely. There is definitely an inherent need to get a solid wide receiver on this team, because looking at this list, I can't look at you with a straight face and guarantee you that a single one of these guys is going to finish as a top 12 wide receiver in 2023, right? Like there's a possibility for at least 2, maybe even 3 of these guys to finish in the top 15. But I could not with a straight face guarantee any of these guys to be a wide receiver 1. So I do like that you point that out. You know what I mean? There's definitely a lot of room for improvement on this roster. Now, one thing that you and I kind of talked about before we started this video here, we always do this, Tyler and I, is we start talking about the video right before we start filming the video. And then like 10 minutes in, we're like, all right, dude, we have to film this because we're talking way too much about this right now. But you had mentioned before we hopped on that you would like him to potentially trade up to either 102 or 103 so he can guarantee himself JSN in this draft class, right? So assuming that we would probably have to give up 104 in this situation, what's the biggest asset on this roster that you would give up to move from 104 to 102 and guarantee snagging JSN?
Well, if I'm moving up to the 102, I mean, before I send that offer for the 102, I'm sending the 104 and 108 for, like I said, for CeeDee Lamb, for Amon-Ra St. Brown, for AJ Brown, for maybe even Garrett Wilson right now, Jalen Waddle, and that's probably the line for me where I'm sending the 104 and 108 in this format. I mean, you need hammers here, but yeah, like I said, probably 104 and 108 if I'm guaranteeing myself the 102, and if I'm moving up to the 103, I'm offering the 201 on top of the 104, and then if he's going to demand the 108 as well, I'll probably just demand a second round pick in the future back from him because it's the 201. So it's an automatic move up for him in that case.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. I think I like the idea of potentially going for a CD Lamb, AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, one of those range 3 to 6, 3 to 7 wide receivers. If you can trade any two of these picks that aren't 101 for one of them, I think that immediately brings this team way up 110%. So I really like that call out there. And I think I'm with you. Going from the 104 to the 102 is kind of a big deal, but I wouldn't be opposed to sending 104 and 108 to get it done in all honesty, because we were kind of talking about this before the video started. Bijan in one quarterback leagues, Bijan Robinson is in a tier of his own at 101. He's locked in, right? Then you have Gibbs and JSN at 2 and 3. And then there's a pretty decent sized tier break from pick 3 to pick 4, because Jordan Addison, QJ, Charbonnet, Zay Flowers, who else we got? Michael Mayer. Maybe you could throw one or two other guys in there. I mean, 104 to 109 is probably going to be the same tier there, right? So I'm fine with trading 2 picks in that tier to move up to that second tier of getting pick 102.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they're all really good first round NFL prospects, pretty much. Other than the running backs, obviously, but they're not. They all have question marks. I mean, JSN is the only one that I think could have a completely abominable landing spot in first year in the NFL and still retain his value regardless. So I'm willing to pay that premium for him. But to add to that list before, I think also a guy that popped in my head, 104 and 201 for Devonta Smith. I would, because I mean, you're hoping that Jordan Addison turns into what Devonta Smith is in the NFL. So I mean, I'm fine giving up to 201 in that case to get that to eliminate that risk and just get the solid, top 10 wide receiver on my roster.
No, that's a good call. Guys like Devontae Smith, guys like DK Metcalf, guys like T. Higgins, those guys that aren't really in the top 5 conversation for a lot of people out there. 104 and 201 in this league very well could get that done, because everyone has rookie fever right now, right? So I like that call out as well. Looking at the tight end room, it's Kyle Pitts and Greg Dulcich. You're only starting one tight end. You have Kyle Pitts, who is still the Dynasty tight end 1 for whatever reason. That's fine. I don't have anything else to say about the tight end room, right? Like, that's fine. That's cool. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kyle Pitts, I mean, we're all hoping that he does something relatively soon. We kind of talked about him in our last video too. Obviously disappointing second year, and hope that he gets back towards his ceiling, from what we saw in his rookie campaign. So
yeah, I will say this about the team. It's built both to win now, but also to be a dynasty, right? It's a very young team. The quarterbacks, chances are there are at least 5 other teams in your league that have a better quarterback than you. Your tight ends, that's a good room. Outside of Travis Kelce and maybe Mark Andrews, you've got most teams in your league beat in the tight end room. I would be surprised if you don't have the best running back room. If we're already counting Bijan Robinson on this team, this running back room is going to be your bread and butter, and they're all nice and young, right? So if you do hold on to Breece Hall, if you do hold on to Travis Etienne, and then obviously draft Bijan Robinson, you're getting a minimum of 3 years of production out of all 3 of those guys, which is going to be pretty freaking sweet. And you do have the luxury of riding those points for now, while Drake London gets up to speed, while Jahan Dotson gets up to speed, while Jameson Williams gets up to speed, right? So could win this year, wouldn't be surprised. But I think next year, after a lot of your receivers have another year under your belt, I think this time next year, it's going to be a completely different conversation, and this is going to be the team to beat in the league.
Yeah, I mean, his running back room alone gives him probably a between literally 15 to 20 point advantage when you think about it. I mean, RB1, RB2, and that flex 1. That's a positional advantage. That's probably 5 or 6 points in each when you have those 3. So definitely can ride the wave on that one and kind of stay and pray for, Jordan Addison or Quentin Johnson, whoever you take at the 104, maybe Zay Flowers at the 108. While these guys pan out, you can definitely ride that wave. But I mean, this is anything other than the 101. I mean, I guess I am even probably trading the 101 straight up for, Jefferson or Chase. But
Oh yeah, if it's straight up, I'll take Jefferson or Chase. I just, in good conscience, I can't give Bijan Robinson and a first round pick away.
I mean, dude, if I could sacrifice Zay Flowers, I mean, I like at the 108, I'm fine with it on this roster just because of how much I love Brees Hall. But I mean, there's no denying that the roster's like fine. It's not in danger in any to
Oh,
trade up or go buy a stud and just like pay the premium, whatever the 104 and 108 plus take literally every second round pick if you want all three of them, four of them that you have to if you could go get like literally like CeeDee Lamb, like that tier of receivers, then I'm doing it all day long. Just like eliminate the risk, go get the stud, focus on the high draft capital that you have. I mean, you need hammers in this league to win, and you already have three of them on your roster, and I think Drake London could be one. You obviously are really high on Jameson Williams and think that he could be one. But I think you have to go get a guy that you know for a fact is one and is gonna put up fantasy points this year. And I don't mean to discount Chris Godwin, but like I mean, there's so many questions
dude,
moving forward, and he doesn't really fit the timeline of.
no, you're completely right with Chris Godwin. I mean, he's kind of a weird guy to have on this roster. If anything, if you can sell him somewhat high right now, I would consider it. I really think Baker Mayfield's going to completely ruin his value this year. I mean, DJ Moore started his career off with, what was it, 4 seasons in a row of 1,100 plus yards, and with Baker Mayfield, he could not do it. Right? Like DJ Moore's a phenomenal receiver. Baker Mayfield's going to tank Chris Godwin. But let's say Pope doesn't want to make any trades. Let's say, he's happy with this team. He wants to go in and he just wants to make his 5 draft picks in the top 13. So before we wrap up this video, let's take a look at these picks and realistically predict what this is going to look like, right? So 101, we don't need to talk about. It's Bijan Robinson. The 102 and 103 is going to be Gibbs and JSN. So here we are at 104. He doesn't have those 3 guys available. I'm assuming we're on the same page of swinging for the fences, going for one of the wide receivers between either Jordan Addison, QJ, maybe even Zay Flowers if he gets really high draft capital and lands in the right spot. Are you thinking one of those 3 guys at 104?
One of those 2 guys. I could never take Zay Flowers over both. I could never take Zay Flowers over Jordan Addison. That'll never happen. But I mean, I could maybe take QJ over him. I still have to decide on that one. I'm still torn on where my heart is, but yeah, I'm definitely taking a receiver there. That whoever I think the best one is, I'm going with him at the 104 and not looking back on it, and probably taking another swing on whoever else falls to the 108.
So let's say, okay. So 104, let's take, for all things considered, we'll take Jordan Addison. We both like Jordan Addison, right? So 101 is Bijan, 104 is Jordan Addison. 108, let's assume that the top 3 players available in their 3 different positions. We have Zach Charbonnet is there at 108. We have Jalen Hyatt, and we have Michael Mayer at tight end. 108, usually my philosophy in rookie drafts is I don't draft for need. I take best player available, right? So those would be my 3 picks. Now, I know who I'm picking, but who are you putting on this roster out of those 3 guys?
Charbonnet.
Me too.
No
Because
question. It's like, dude, friggin' go and hammer the league with the backs, dude. It's like if you're not able to make that trade, if nobody's going to sell you a receiver, then say frig your league and just go take that running back to get the points and just win the league this year in the next like 2 or 3.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. If Charbonnet, now there's a world where Charbonnet goes a lot earlier than 108 in 1 QB leagues, right? Because if he does get drafted before Jahmyr Gibbs, which is a strong possibility that very well could happen, he's going to be in the conversation of a top 5, maybe top 6 at worst draft pick, right? Imagine Charbonnet hits. Let's say he's a 2nd-round pick to Miami. It's where I keep putting him in my head. So we know it's not going to happen because I keep imagining it, right? But let's say he's got Bijan Robinson number 1 RB. He's got Breece Hall, number 2. He's got Travis Etienne, top 10 guy. He's got Charbonnet, who could easily be a top 15 guy in year 1. I know we're only starting 9 guys, right? 2 of them has to be a receiver. 1 has to be the quarterback. 1 has to be the tight end. You fill 4 of your other 5 positions with these running backs. You're going to have a lot of fun playing Dynasty this year.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm not mistaken, oh no, it is a PPR. I thought it might have been a half-point PPR. But yeah, dude, at that point, it's like you literally only need 3 receivers to get you by. You could totally live and find those guys, through trades or whatever. I mean, you're gonna start 3. Jesus Christ, sorry, the dogs are freaking going crazy at the door. But you're going to start basically 3 receivers on your roster, if that. Because, I mean, Pacheco and Rashad White, between those guys, even Chris Godwin at that point could literally be your flex, and I'd be fine with it. You're going to smash your league.
Yeah. I would say best player available is always the way to go. Don't draft for need in your rookie drafts. Just take the best guy, and you can figure everything else out later, right? And then at 201 and 203, I'm at least considering taking a quarterback with one of these picks, just because, there's maybe I'm looking at the board right here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 6 or 7 guys that I would 100% take before any of these quarterbacks. And it starts to get a little murky. So 201 or 203, screw it. Let's build to the room of Justin Fields and Tua. Take one of those quarterbacks, right? If you have both 201 and 203 on your draft day, just take one of these quarterbacks. Take the one that has the highest upside in Anthony Richardson, as long as he's a first-round draft pick. Like, just swing for the fences with it. You have 5 picks in the top 13. Your team's already stacked. Just go for it.
Yeah, I think Anthony Richardson has to be the pick out of any of the quarterbacks, because he's the only one really, I think, that has the immediate upside of being, a top 5 quarterback. But again, I mean, can I pair like the 201 and Justin Fields for Pat Mahomes? Probably not. I mean, maybe.
Maybe not him, but like I wouldn't be surprised if you can get like Joe Burrow or even Justin Herbert for that combo, right?
Yeah, but what if you added the 203 onto that? The Justin Fields, the 201 and the 203, and you just said screw Dalton Kincaid or whatever, and you just said I'm gonna go get Pat Mahomes. In a lot of, like, it's a 1 QB league. So, I mean, whoever owns Pat Mahomes probably knows how valuable he is to his lineup. But I mean, there are probably owners out there who would sell him to you for that. If there are guys who like need multiple shots at running back or whatever in this draft, like, you could totally consider making that trade.
For what it's worth on Keep Trade Cut, if you trade, and this is a 12-team league format, right? So really I should have put 111 and 201 in here. But if you pair the 201, the 203 with Justin Fields, according to Keep Trade Cut, there's not a single quarterback that you couldn't get in a deal. So you could potentially get Pat Mahomes for that. You could potentially get Josh Allen. You could get Jalen Hurts. And I would be very happy to make that deal and trading up for one of those quarterbacks. You trade up for one of those quarterbacks, you pair them with your win now running backs, you have your scratch off card wide receivers. I mean, fuck it, dude. And if Kyle Pitts can actually do something this year, I mean, this is the team to beat immediately. So
that's literally 30 points worth of advantages. Like when you go through, Pat Mahomes is literally a 10 to 15 point advantage each week. Bijan is going to be a 6 or 7 point advantage each week, even at the RB1 spot. Breece is probably at the RB2 spot going to be, 5, 6 point advantage. It just goes on and on, dude. He could win the league this year, making that upgrade at quarterback, finding one stud receiver, and then he could literally just completely forget that this dynasty league exists for the next 6 years of his life and probably win 4 times.
Yeah, I completely agree. This team has the tools to go out and be great immediately. And if it's not great immediately, it's going to be great this time of the year. I could guarantee that. But yeah, so Pope, thanks for submitting this team to us. We had a lot of fun going over this. And let's be real here. You don't need any help with this team. You just wanted to gloat a little bit because it's a pretty damn good team. You got a lot of draft capital, and something tells me in a month and a half when you're doing your rookie draft, you're going to be having a lot of fun. with this team. So congrats to you, kudos to you, and yeah, hopefully you can do some cool shit in the offseason with this one.
Yeah, we didn't even really mention the 2024 draft capital too. He has 2 firsts in 2024. That's like, well, screw it, just go through and take best player available. Like, don't even worry about what those picks are right now. Don't try to project. Like, just hold on to them and see what happens, see what offers come, and do what you want.
Well, and that's the thing with those 2024 picks. I mean, if your receivers are hitting, if you don't trade up for a quarterback and Justin Fields is having a good year, you know, those 24 picks could easily be turned into that top 5 or top 6 wide receiver that you need for your squad a little later down the road. Like you said, there's no reason to try and project where they're going to be this time next year at this moment in time, but hold on to them, right? Like, just hold on to these picks because either you're going to want to use them or you're going to want to use them to make trades in the middle of the season when you are just one piece away from being absolute dominant. So yeah, I mean, this is a really good team. You're set up very well.
Kudos.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks for tuning in here with us today on Goal Line Dynasty. If you have a roster that you'd like us to go over, I cannot talk. If you'd like us to give you our thoughts on what you should do with your roster, how it's looking, if you just want some trade ideas, or even if you just want everyone to see how good your team is, that's cool too. We always like doing that. So hit us up, leave us a comment below, hit that like, subscribe button, and of course, join the Discord. The Discord is where Pope actually put this team in. So, you know, we have a whole channel for team reviews, and Discord subscribers always get first dibs on these kind of videos. So hit us up in the Discord. But anyway, for myself, for Tyler, and for, I almost said that Dynasty show, for a Goal Line Dynasty, we will see you next time.